Peace and love, family. It's your brother Isaiah again with another video. I just want to go over a few definitions. The first definition is applicable compliance date. Means with respects to a securitization, the date on which the compliance with Section 15G of the Security Exchange Act, added by words Section 941B of the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act, is required with respects to that securitization. So that's usually the due date, which is an important factor in securitization process. It has to have a date for security, right? Now, a financial asset, usually when you think of a financial asset, you think of a mortgage note, a car contract, a lease agreement, just to give you an example. So a financial asset means cash or a contract or instrument that conveys to one entity a contractual right to receive cash or another financial instrument from another. So a financial asset is like a barter exchange. It's an instrument used to barter for the exchange of equal value. So you got to learn. So an investor means the person or the entity that owns an obligation issued by an issuing entity. So usually your account is the issuer and you're the investor receiving benefits from the issue of the issuing entity. Issuing entity means an entity that owns a financial asset or financial asset transferred by the sponsor and issued obligation supported by such assets or assets. Issuing entity may include but are not limited to corporations, partnerships, trusts, and limited liability companies, and are commonly referred to as a special purpose vehicle or special purpose entity. To the extent a securitization is structured as a multi-step transfer, the term issuing entity would include both the issuer of a obligation and an immediate entry that may be a transferee. Notwithstanding the foregoing, a specified GSE or an entity established or granted by a specified GSE shall not constitute an issuing entity. So, issuing entity is an entity that's issuing credits or issuing the obligation, and it's known as a special purpose entity because it's used for a special purpose. All right, just got to know what that purpose is. Okay, and that's why I say y'all need to get with one person that you're comfortable with the way that they teach, and you need to study with that person and learn as much as you possibly can. With one person, don't spread yourself like sandwich spread. You spreading yourself all over the place, of course it's going to be a mess. You all over the place. You got to, put yourself on one sound level and work with one person. If you find somebody that's teaching this information in a way that you can understand it, and he's breaking it down to you in a way to make you get what's being said, showing you where the laws is at, you need to, stick with that person. It don't matter who it is. If you feel that they're giving you the right information and that they're providing you with discernment of that information, then stick with that person, because that's what this is about. It's not about always getting a remedy. The true remedy is knowledge, because they can't take that away from you. You know what I'm saying? They can't. I can take a process away from you if you don't know what it is. But if you have the knowledge behind the process, you can't never take it away from you. So get the knowledge first, y'all. I just had to say that because that's been on my heart heavy. Now, participation means the transfer or an assignment of an undivided interest in all of a part of a financial asset that has all of the characteristics of a participating interest, from a seller known as the lead to a buyer known as the participant, without recourse to the lead, pursuant to an agreement between the lead and the participant. Without recourse means that the participant is not subject to any agreement that requires the lead to repurchase the participant's interest or to otherwise compensate the participant upon the borrower's default on the underlying obligation. So, a participant is somebody who's participating in a transfer of interest or who's acquiring a right in interest and selling that interest to a purchaser, for value. So once you start reading this stuff and you start getting the right information with the right people, man, it'll all start coming together to you, right? That's why I'm just showing you this because, of course, I just want you to understand that it's about you knowing who to deal with. You got to deal with the right people now. It's a lot of people teaching, but you need to pay attention to the information being provided in the videos, okay? Because you could be cheating yourself out of something that you're entitled to. Many are called, but it's only a few that's chosen, man. You got to be able to know who the chosen ones are, all right? You got to be in tune. All right, securitation means the insuring by an issuing entity of an obligation for which the investors are relying on the cash flow or market value characteristics and the credit quality of the transferred financial asset together with an external credit support permitted by this section to repay the obligation. So securitization is when you're looking for the cash flow to repay the obligation, right? Because your job is to repay, So you got to learn how the securitization process works in order for you to get the services that you're entitled to secure your obligation. Now, servicer means any entity responsible for the management and collection of some or all of the financial asset on behalf of the issuing entity or making allocations or dispersions to holders of the obligations, including reporting on the overflow, cash flow, and credit characteristics of the financial assets, supporting the securitization to enable the issuing entity to make payments to investors on the obligations. The term servicer does not include a trustee for an issuing entity or a holder of an obligation that makes allocations or disbursements to holders of the obligation if the trustee receives such allocations or distributions, from the servicer and the trustee does not otherwise perform the functions of the servicer. So, usually the servicer is the one that's basically servicing the contract, that's really giving you, all the remedies that you need. So, I just wanted to come and just, go over a few definitions. I'm not really trying to go into a whole lot this beautiful day, but I did want to share these few little definitions. It's a lot of meat in these definitions, okay? If you want to learn more about, what I'm teaching, things like this, securitization, collection, the EFT process, any other process that you see me breaking down, whether it's dealing with mortgages or you're dealing with installment contracts, make sure you hit me up at thepeoplesremedy.org. It's your brother Isaiah. I'm signing out.